So it's 10 to 6 on a Monday morning and we're off to Samarkand. And this is my driver, Elhom. Woo! Apparently there is a really good high-speed train between Tashkent and Samarkand. But don't leave it too late to book. It will get fully booked and you will be disappointed like I was. Instead of the relative comfort of the high-speed train whizzing you between Tashkent and Samarkand in 2.5 hours, I had to run with the plan B, which was a personal driver driving me on some fairly average roads. Instead of the 2.5 hours in comfort, it was 4.5 hours of boredom and slight discomfort. But at least I got there, and at least I didn't have to ride a camel like the blokes from a few hundred years ago. Hello, Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan. Yeah. Thank you. So this guy was the first modern day president of Uzbekistan. So after a 4.5 hour car ride on fairly average roads, I finally got here to Samarkand. And this is the first stop. I think I'll have to do some research when I get back online, but I think this is some kind of celebration of Islamic architecture. These aren't mosques. I think they might be mausoleums, actually. But you can see there's a whole lot of tourists here. So if you've ever poked your head inside a history of the world kind of book, you would have read about the old Silk Road. Basically, folks in the East, that is China and so on, sent their goods to the West to trade. We're talking silk pyjamas and their secret herbs and spices. In return, the West sent their goods back to the East. That was probably wine and olives. I can't really think of anything else the West had at that time that was of value. Potatoes and coffee hadn't arrived in the West yet, and IKEA furniture hadn't been invented, and the English were yet to pillage the world, so it must have been wine and olives. But my point is, there was a huge flow of goods, all transported by camel on this old Silk Road, west to east and east to west. And as you can imagine, the blokes in the middle got rich. Samarkand, being in the middle, became a very significant city, and the rulers of this area got richer and more powerful and eventually ruled a big chunk of land between Constantinople in the west to somewhere else in the east. For a few hundred years they ruled this part of the world and amassed fabulous wealth and built fabulous buildings, all within the Islamic tradition of architecture. And that's why it's worth making the trek by train or car or camel to see this fabulous history and the architecture in this place. Arriving in Samarkand, I really wasn't too sure what to expect, but I didn't see any more camels or those finely dressed wise men from the east. Rather, there were squadrons of Chevrolets and a rather large sprawling city. But the architecture did not disappoint. The amazing intricacies in the design and the vibrant blues were impressive. The people were friendly and smiled, and once engaged, always asked where I was from. Most knew where New Zealand was, but some did not. But through broken English, we always smiled, laughed and shook each other's hand. I have not yet met a grumpy Uzbek. I'm a little too short and stout. So this is one of the national dishes, plov. I think I over-ordered again. Apparently quite the astronomer. I'm sure this is from an Indiana Jones movie. After a 4.5 hour drive each way and 6 hours on the ground, I stumbled back into bed. It's a good night from me. Uzbekistan! Woo! Ilham and me in Samarkand had a wonderful time. My expert driver.
Please like and subscribe.